Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And we are about to begin the 2033 season. 8 years now under our belt with the Colorado Rockies, and it's been a pretty successful run. We took over relatively early in this miserable season that the Rockies are having here in real life in 2025. And we're a little bit better with the team than they were before we took them over, putting up a 51-68 record, which was a .429 winning percentage. Since then, we've actually had a fair amount of success. We've now made the playoffs 7 consecutive seasons, although to be perfectly honest, those first 3 or 4 years when we were making the playoffs with the Rockies never felt particularly confident in those teams, and we generally were knocked out of the playoffs in relatively short order. But the last 3 years, we've averaged well over 100 wins a year, had the best record in baseball 3 consecutive seasons, won the second, third, and fourth division titles in Rockies history after we won the first division title back in 2027, and ultimately made the second and third trips of the Rockies to the World Series, finally winning the first World Series in Colorado Rockies history back in 2031. Last year, we tied the 1906 Cubs and the 2001 Seattle Mariners with 116 victories, but a extremely disappointing playoff performance, losing in 4 games in the division series to our divisional rival Dodgers, who finished 26 games behind us in the standings. So as we get ready for this 2033 season, largely returning the same team as last year, made some enhancements to our bullpen over this past offseason, and feeling like we're in a good spot to once again go out and hopefully win over 100 games once again, compete for the best record in baseball during the regular season, and hopefully set this team up to compete for a championship come October. But before we get the season underway, I wanted to check in on a couple of players who didn't make the Major League roster this year, and follow up on some recent comments from the Worldwide Scouting Department. Undercover Boomer wondered what was going on with Chandler Simpson, who had been a very important player for us at one time, was with us for 4 full seasons in the majors, and easily led the National League in stolen bases each of those years, topping off with 98 just 3 seasons ago in 2030. We then traded him away, given the strength of our outfield, to Milwaukee. He played a year with them, and then we re-signed him as a minor league free agent the off-season before last. Unfortunately, Undercover Boomer was speculating that perhaps Simpson stole 100 bases for us in AAA last year. Shockingly, he stole no bases in AAA. As those of you who have followed us over the years know, we are very deep in the outfield at this point, and the now heading into his mid-30s Simpson only had 15 at-bats last year in AAA Albuquerque, and we've actually demoted him to the AA Hartford Yard Goats in the Eastern League for this season. Maybe gets a little more playing time there. I can't imagine he won't end up stealing a base, but his speed ratings have also deteriorated a bit as he's gotten older, and does not really seem to have the profile of someone who's likely to be playing in the major leagues ever again at this point, unfortunately. And a more controversial player to not have made our team out of spring training is the number 76 prospect in baseball, Derby Mahes, who we picked in the first round almost 3 years ago at this point out of UCLA. He will definitely be playing in the major leagues this year if he's healthy, but I am concerned still about his ability to hit right-handed pitching consistently at the major league level. Several of you have made the point that he's ready for the majors. Certainly an excellent defensive player, great personality, good speed, in base stealing and base running instincts. Is fragile physically, and the bat certainly needs to come a little bit further along, but DLL, first base 14, NS1, CLRK, jackhammer possessor, all recently touting Mahes to various degrees as someone who probably should be on the major league team. And as I noted, if he's healthy, he'll be up this year. But we're expecting to be a 100-win team this year, whether or not Mahes is on the team. So my thought is continue to get him regular playing time every day in AAA. If we have an injury and we can play him every day in the major leagues and he's the best option in our organization to play against right-handed pitching, which I don't think he really is right now, then maybe we bring him up if the likes of Colt Keith and or Rosnile DePaula have some injuries. But until then, we're going to work on getting him some playing time. Alkshi also asked about defensive program for Mahes this past offseason. We went with a base stealing technique program that he was successful with. We had gone with programs to work on his infield defense 2 straight years. He was successful back in 2032 with that program. And then he was outstanding with his infield defense back in 2031. So probably silly, but I just felt like pushing the envelope and hoping for a 3rd consecutive season of defensive improvements for him. May have been hoping for too much this offseason, so we went with, for the shorter programs, base stealing instead, and he was successful. We've actually had a great run with him because he was also outstanding at bat speed this past offseason. Previous offseason, he was outstanding in gap power, and the year before that, he successfully improved his quality of contact. So he has been through 6 development programs over the 3 years that he's been with us, and every one of them has been completed successfully or outstanding. So seems to be a guy with his high baseball IQ, and perhaps some other positive traits, maybe helping him be successful with those programs. Might also just be luck, but next year, think in the short program, we'll certainly have him working on his defensive skills again to see if we can turn a guy who we thought was a potential Gold Glove third base type when we drafted him 3 years ago into a guy who's starting to look like a borderline Gold Glove type also at second base, and possibly even at short if we get another successful development program for him. So Mahes is going to offer us a lot of versatility going forward. The last comment on him was Peter Hooper, who just wanted us to take a look at his ratings history, and this is now over multiple scouts. Back when we drafted him, which was the summer of 2030, we thought he had 80 potential right before the draft. Thought that potentially his contact could be 65, 55 for his, I think this is home run power, and I as far as his ultimate potential. And he was not as dynamic defensively back then as we think he is today. So those defensive programs have definitely worked out well for him. But you can see we still think he's got above average home run power, but the ceiling for his eye and his contact is lower than it was when we first drafted him. And his potential has also declined a bit, which you would expect from most players, particularly because back when we drafted him, we were only high scouting accuracy, and by the time we got to very high scouting accuracy after we had already signed him, we thought that his ceiling was somewhat less high than when we initially drafted him, but still think that overall, his development has been pretty favorable. And as I said, barring an unexpected injury, he will be debuting at some point here in the 2033 season. And a good start to the season for our Rockies, a 6-1 victory on opening day in Arizona. Noah Schultz, who had a brilliant spring training where he didn't allow a single run, did allow one earned run, but with 5 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks over 7 1/3 innings while striking out 7. We'll certainly take that. One of the new additions to the bullpen, the lefty Jackson Peavy, pitched the final inning in 2/3, perfect ball while striking out 2. Monster game for the defending National League MVP, Kevin Roberts Jr., 4 for 5 with a home run and 5 ribbies, including a solo home run. He also had a couple of, one double. So a big game for him. Ezekiel Tovar, 2 for 5 with a couple runs scored, and Marcelo Meyer, 2 for 4 with a run scored. So a nice start to the season for our Rockies. Taking a look at the schedule for this month of April that begins today. 3 more in Arizona before we finally get the home schedule going against the Angels. We'll face Arizona again for 3 games at home and then 3 at home against the Padres before a long road trip that sees us going up to San Francisco, all the way down the coast to San Diego, and then back up to the Bay Area for 3 games against the A's before we finish off the month with home games against the Marlins and then Arizona once again. I think it was last year where we also had a lot of games with the Diamondbacks in the early going, and it looks like the schedule makers in New York have given us a similar schedule at the start of this 2033 season. And we're off to a respectable 3-2 start. We ended up splitting the 4 games on the road in Arizona before a 12-1 victory yesterday in our 5th game of the season. And that was a game where we got to see Noah Schultz a second time because of the day off. And he's continuing to have an outstanding start to this season with 3 hits, 2 walks, no earned runs over 6 1/3 with 7 strikeouts. Peavy once again gets the action in the bullpen behind Schultz. Ted Miller, a big game for the young DH, 2 for 4 with 5 runs batted in. Had a couple of homers for us today, so nice start to the season for the team at 3-2, and fortunately we've got the opportunity now to get Dean West, who has been our center fielder for the last few years and basically missed all of spring training this year on a rehab assignment as he's healthy now. So we'll give him a few days in AAA before potentially making a roster decision likely towards the end of this week. And about a week and a half into the season, things are going well. A 6-3 record, although that puts us a game and a half behind the Dodgers in the division in this very early going. Kevin Roberts Jr. leading the league in ribbies. Ted Miller 3rd in the league in OPS. And Noah Schultz is 3rd in the league in pitcher WAR with the nice start that he's gotten off to. Mentioned that Dean West is now healthy. He's played 4 games in AAA for us, but I think we're going to just keep him on that rehab assignment for the time being. If we were to bring up the left-handed hitting West, I think the logical move for us against right-handed pitching would be to put West into center field, pivot Roberts Jr. back to right field, and ultimately move Ryan Stone back to first base, pivot Colt Keith to third base, and get the youngster Rosnile DePaula the right-handed hitter who's playing third for us against right-handed pitching and leading off and playing second for us against left-handed pitching out of the lineup. But DePaula has been pretty productive so far. 11 for 34, 324 average, almost a 900 OPS, 152 WRC plus. And I guess we could send a guy like Sam Gray down. Maybe we will do that. Gray just 2 for 10, playing for us against left-handed pitching primarily. I don't think I want to take DePaula out of the lineup. So the question is, do we want to bring up the left-handed hitting center fielder, Dean West from the majors, to only play him as a left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching? Gray looks like he should be pretty productive against left-handed pitching when all is said and done, while Mr. West, on the other hand, isn't special against left or right-handed pitching, but he's even less effective against left-handed pitching. So I think for the time being, we're just going to take advantage of the 15 days we've got left and let West continue to rehab until a injury or the end of his rehab assignment forces us to make a different decision, since the youngster DePaul is off to a really nice start for us. And we've continued to play very well, running our record to 9-3, but finally have some injury issues. Matt McElroy, our first baseman against left-handed pitching, has a knee contusion, just a minimal impact, overall moderate impact on his running, probably not something that serious. Ryan Stone with a bruised wrist, minimal impact on his hitting. But the more significant injury is Ezekiel Tovar, out for 2 weeks with a foot contusion. That seems like a long time to be out for a foot contusion. 326 average and 43 at-bats here in the very early going for our starting shortstop. So we've gotten an injury to potentially bring West up to the team, but unfortunately it's to an infielder, and bringing up another outfielder is not really going to necessarily fit the bill for us. So for those of you who have been pushing us on Derby Mahes, I did say before that if there were some injuries, that could be the path for him to get back. You may have noticed before we had been forced starting him in the minors at second base to get him completely proficient there, which is where he is now. Batting profile obviously hasn't changed much in the 11 games he's played in AAA since we checked in with him, but hitting .317 with a 125 WRC plus, so a little more productive offensively at Albuquerque than he was towards the end of last season. And since we've now got the opportunity to play him every day somewhere with that injury, we are going to call up Mr. Derby Mahes and allow him to make his major league debut over these next few weeks while our shortstop of today is on the IL. And we're going to play Mahes every day at shortstop with that improvement that he has made defensively. I think he's probably our best defensive option there with Tovar hurt, given that Tovar is still in the relatively early stages of a 5-year extension. Can't say that Mahes is necessarily our shortstop of the future, but while Tovar is hurt, definitely expecting him to be our shortstop of the present. And we'll see what the former first-round pick out of UCLA can do in the coming weeks in his first crack at Major League pitching. And unfortunately, the team has gone right in the tank with the injury to Tovar and the debut of Mahes, swept in a 4-game series in San Francisco. You're welcome, Peter Hooper. but that drops our record on the season to 9-7, game and a half behind the Dodgers. And if you're wondering what Mahes did in those first 4 games, our concerns about his bat at the major league level definitely seem valid so far. 1 for his first 14 with a lone single, has walked once, struck out 3 times, so hitting just .071, a sickly -50 WRC plus for him, and he's been a little bit below replacement level. Defensively, slightly above average in terms of his zone rating and very good in terms of his defensive efficiency. So playing well defensively, but clearly needs to hit better than he has so far. Fortunately, it's still a very small sample size. And we've been very streaky of late. We had swept 3 games in San Diego, or against San Diego at home, before dropping 4 in San Francisco. Now we just swept another 3 in San Diego, but we've lost the first 2 of 3 against the A's back in the San Francisco Bay Area as we try to finish up this series. So 0-6 on the season right now in San Francisco and Oakland, which is certainly a place that's turning into a house of horrors for our Rockies. 12-9 record as we sit here on April 24th, 2.5 behind the Dodgers. Kevin Roberts Jr., second in the league in batting average, leading in OPS, and leading in batter WAR in the very early stages. Noah Schultz, second in the league in strikeouts, and Andrew Painter now 2-2 record with the .262 ERA, second in pitcher WAR. Injury-wise, Tovar is back and healthy already, which is good. Spent his 10 days on the IL, and Mahes has not been great. 4 for 30 in 8 games. Admittedly, a small sample size, but hitting just a .133 below replacement level, and the offense has been brutal. So we're going to ship him back down to AAA for the time being and go back to the original plan for how we might use him this season as we bring Mr. Tovar back onto the major league roster. And we've only got 2 games left on that rehab assignment for Mr. West before we need to make a decision. The other thing with West, though, is 28-year-old, still his 2 option years left. So we can just ultimately assign him to AAA if we want. And although we did salvage the final game in Oakland to avoid the sweep there, we were swept in 3 games at home against Miami, subsequently won the final 2 games of the month, both in shutouts against Arizona. So when all is said and done, a 15-12 record as we get to May 1st. Pretty bad month for our Rockies. I think we had winning percentage of over .600 every month last year. So the first full month of this season, April, well below that. Colt Keith now leading the league in hitting, second in OPS. Kevin Roberts Jr. leading the league in batter WAR, and Colt Keith is third. Ezequiel Tovar has a 13-game hitting streak back from the injury, and Andrew Painter still tied for second in the league in pitcher WAR. 2.5 games behind the Dodgers, as we noted, and we're in the final wild card spot at 15-12, only half a game above the Cubs. So certainly not the type of start to the season that we hoped record-wise. Going a little deeper, digging into the team statistics, does look like perhaps we've gotten a little unlucky. We should be 18-9 according to Pythagorean expectations. So seems like we've won some blowouts and we've lost some relatively close games. 1-0 record in March, 14-12 in the month of April. But as we sit here, we're first in the National League in runs scored, and you can see we're in the top 3 in most offensive categories, and we rank tied for 6th in runs allowed. The starters' ERA, not surprisingly, very good, 3rd in the league. The revamped bullpen, though, 13th in ERA, so not doing the job quite yet. The defense has been pretty solid thus far, so far too early for us to be concerned. As I noted, we're actually still in a playoff spot despite the start to the season that's a little slower than we might have hoped for. So we're relatively healthy. We got to see briefly Derby Mahes make his major league debut. So it's been a very interesting first month of the season here in Colorado. Next time around, we'll continue playing the month of May and into June, head towards our mid-season review, and see what this team is looking like as we learn more and more about it, and hopefully have a more successful May and June than we had for the month of April when we were only 2 games above 500. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.